Aunt Eleanor's smile disappeared. "You are being most disobliging." She tapped her gloved fingers against the marble mantelpiece, like a mistress testing for dust. "Do you not wish to see your sister?" Was there a threat behind Eleanor's words? Caroline wouldn't be surprised. Her aunt was more like Caroline's recently deceased father than most people realised, and hated not to get her way. "I would very much like to see Susan, but—" Again, her aunt cut her off. "What if I invited your employer and her daughter to accompany you?" "To Greenwood Hall?" "Yes. I assume the daughter is of a similar age to Mabel. Would it not be in her best interest to be introduced to a select few people who are also about to make their debut in society?" "I would imagine it would." Caroline's mind worked furiously. "But I will have to consult with Mrs. Frogerton as to whether she wishes to attend." Aunt Eleanor made a dismissive gesture. "Surely she will be honoured by such an invitation. I mean, who else among the ton would offer her such an entrance to society?" She picked up her gloves and turned to the door. "I am leaving for Greenwood Hall tomorrow at noon. Please let me know your decision before I depart." "Do you have the exact dates?" Caroline asked. Her aunt opened her reticule and drew out a cream card with silver-engraved writing on it. "The details are all here. Do you have a pen?" "Yes, of course." Caroline rushed over to the desk beneath the window, opened it, and found her aunt a serviceable quill pen and some ink. She waited for the scratch of the pen to finish, and for her aunt to blot her script. "Here you are." Aunt Eleanor held out the card. "Thank you." Caroline cast a distracted glance at the door. "Are you quite certain that you don't wish to wait while I see if Mrs. Frogerton is awake and willing to answer for herself?" "I do not have the time, niece. Your uncle and I are expected at Lord Antwerp's for dinner, and I have to change my gown." Eleanor swept toward the door. "I will expect to hear from you before noon tomorrow." Caroline stared at the closed door for quite some time, her fingers clasped around the deckled edge of the invitation. The thought of seeing her sister after 3 months was very appealing, but she still doubted her aunt's motives. Did Eleanor think to alienate Mrs. Frogerton during the visit and persuade her to leave Caroline behind when she returned to London? It was all too likely, and her aunt would have no compunction in humiliating a social inferior. She was known to have very rigid standards. "Who was that calling at such a late hour?" Caroline looked up as her employer came through the door, surrounded by a sea of yapping dogs. Mrs. Frogerton wore a muslin dress in a colourful print and an elaborate lace cap. Her beautiful fringed silk shawl trailed on the carpet and was being vigorously attacked by one of the dogs. "Shall I ring for some tea, ma'am?" Caroline inquired, as she rushed over to rescue the shawl and guide her employer into her favourite seat by the fire. "Yes, please, and then sit down and tell me about our visitor." Mrs. Frogerton had a strong northern accent, and despite her diminutive size and soft roundness, lungs similar to a cavalry officer, making her a somewhat terrifying spectacle. But beneath her loud exterior, Caroline had discovered she had a kind heart, a sense of humour, and a sharp intelligence. She always treated Caroline like a person rather than a lowly servant to be ordered around, and was willing to listen to an alternate viewpoint. Her daughter, Dorothy, having grown up with a superior sense of her own worth and wealth, was far more demanding and difficult to please. "My aunt, Lady Eleanor Greenwood, came to call," Caroline said, as she took the seat opposite her employer. "She invited us to attend a house party to celebrate the birthday of my cousin, Mabel, who will be turning 17 this month." She proffered the invitation. Mrs. Frogerton snatched at it with her mittened hand and put on her spectacles. "Oh, dear Lord above!" She flapped the card like a fan in front of her face and screeched like her parrot Horace. "What an honour!" "The party will be held in the countryside," Caroline reminded her. "I know you prefer to be entertained in town." "Was this your doing, miss? Did you prevail upon your aunt to invite us?" Mrs. Frogerton looked up, her brown eyes sparkling. She often reminded Caroline of an inquisitive sparrow.